All right, everybody. Here we are back in Illustrator. I want to show you another way to create grids in Illustrator as we set up our designs for our posters. This is a technique I did not use in class, and I want to make sure that you have it. So this is actually my preferred way, and so let me walk you through how to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, I have an artboard, and we're going to go over to our rectangle tool, and I'm going to create a rectangle the size of my artboard, just like so. I'm going to then go into Object, Path, Offset Path. I want to make this a negative number, so I'm going to make it a negative 72 point and say OK. And you're going to see it's now offset from the corner. This is giving me a margin, so I'm going to delete the original rectangle, and I'm going to now work with the new offset rectangle. I'm going to then go into Object, Path, and I'm going to split it into a grid. Now here's where the rows and columns are that I want you to think about. So we're going to do, rows are going horizontally, and so I'm going to do 6 rows, and I'm going to do 6 columns. I'm going to create a gutter of 12 point, and that usually coincides with our body copy size. So we're going to start there. I think that'll be a good set place to start for our posters. You can always go bigger, but I think let's start at 12. Okay, and now you see there are my, there's my grid, and I have my gutters. That's the space between each grid module. And now I want to turn these into guides because I don't want them to be an object that I can move. So I'm going to go to View, Guides, and I'm going to say Make Guides. And then I'm going to go to View, Guides, and I want to make sure my guides are locked. And mine are already locked. If they say unlock guides, that means your guides are already locked. If it says lock guides, go ahead and lock them. So now, in other words, I shouldn't be able to, I don't know what that is, but I shouldn't be able to select any guides. It looks like I have something on my, there we go. I had something on my page from earlier. Okay, so there is my guides. Now you can still do the guides the other way I spoke about in class, and I'm just going to review those really quickly. You can use the rectangular grid tool and draw out a guide this way. It's just grabbing what I did last time. But you see you don't have the gutters, but that is a definite way you can do it. And so here's my grid. I'm going to make it have a stroke. And I can do the same thing and turn this into guides. So here is the grid I made like I showed in class. And then now I'm going to go to guides, make guides, same thing. So I've made guides. And then I'm going to remind you of the third way, which is if we did want a polar grid, you know, if we wanted to do something where we were bringing in a polar grid design, right? So I'm going to line this up how I want it. Let's say that's what I want. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go to Object, Guides, I'm sorry, View, Guides, Make Guides, and there's my polar grid. So now I have my 3 different grids I can explore. They've all been turned into guides, so they're not going to be changed. And you don't even have to think about putting them on their own layer because they're guides. They're not even going to be bothered. And that's actually the better way to work it. So then you can, let me just get rid of that. You can start building your design as you like. So like, for example, if, let's say I fill a full bleed color, because I've turned these into guides, I can still see my guides, which is really handy. So that's what's nice about having your grid as a set of guides, okay? So that's the way I want you to think about setting up your guides. When we see each other on Thursday, I do want to see that you've set up your Illustrator file, you've created a grid, and you're working on a grid as you're developing your design ideas. Thanks, everybody.